Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. Today, we are getting into some college football talk, along with some Denver Broncos' upcoming game against the Tennessee Titans. So stick with us, and we will be right back.
Yo, welcome to the show. Let me set the scene. Mile High Sports Symposium, living the dream. Broncos in the house with that orange and blue. Nuggets making moves, watch that altitude crew. Avalanche bringing ice, check the skills they display. Rocky swinging bats, ready for game day. Rapids in the mix, kicking it with style. Buffs bring the heat, put the rivals on trial. Out talking JJT, they got the scoop. Mile High vibes, feel that energy rise. Sports on the menu, watch the crowd mesmerize. From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews at JTMatthews01 on Twitter, and I am here with the Dr. Nicholas Manning at Dr_N Manning on Twitter as well. Doc, how you doing? What's good?
I'm good, man. Busy AF, as the kids say.
Do they still say that?
Outside, they do. They do. I've surveyed
All right.
them, and then while also recommending Trident, 4 out of 5 of the kids also say they're busy.
Yeah, that's true. If there are kids, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. It's the kids. By the kids, I mean no. But I'm good, man. Hey, you know what? The weather doesn't suck. It's football season, so that alone really just makes me happy.
Yeah, that's always great. Football season is ideal. We watched some college football this weekend. We got some.
Sure did.
We got a game tomorrow and Friday. We got lots of football on the horizon, so I am very happy about that.
Yeah, it's well, you know what? I'm gonna ask you how you are, but then I know that you should immediately attach it to college football weekend. So how are you? And then tell me why that's
in straight transition.
Yep.
All right, I'm good. It's Wednesday. I'm off. I'm always happy about that. And Ohio State won. Our teams won, both of them. What's the last time both of our teams won in a week?
Well, it's probably 2 times last year when Florida State played the Little Sisters of
that's fair.
And the Little Brothers of also. That's probably it. When was the last time that both of our teams beat top 10 teams?
Yeah, in week
the same
1.
Week. I mean, in week 1.
Well, I mean, in the same week, let alone week 1.
I mean, in the same week, because I think even Florida State's undefeated year, I don't know that Clemson was top 10 then, Miami or Florida. I don't know. They're all probably ranked, or those two were ranked at least. But it's been a while with a hard H. So that felt good though, man.
Man, it felt good.
Watching Florida State run down the throat of Alabama's defense was just, at this age, it takes, been through the ringers, and for me to get that excited about football was it was great. I mean, just watching the life go out of it was good. It was good.
That's great. Yeah, no, yeah. It was a fun weekend too. We got to watch some. We've been looking at some summer scouting stuff. We've been watching some players. We're going to get into that a little bit. Want to start with the local teams, though. Not as good for the local teams, unfortunately. CU, close game, but lost 20-27 to Georgia Tech in a, I don't want to say valiant effort. I think that they gave good effort. I think that the coaching let them down, especially on the offensive side of the ball a little bit. I tend to, especially with a new offense, a lot of new players, a new quarterback. I tend to put a little more pressure on the coaching staff as opposed to the players themselves who are walking into a new situation. It was a little rough for CU on the offensive side of the ball. They turned the ball over on defense. They did a good job attacking the ball on defense. They had lapses, but for the most part, put together a pretty good showing. And then it felt like maybe the offensive game plan wasn't fully baked.
Yeah, it's Pat Shermer's finest. I'll just say that. I mean, how you get 3 turnovers in back-to-back possessions to start the game, and you're only up 7-0 is it's inexcusable.
Yeah.
Ken Salter is a seasoned quarterback. He's limited in terms of even experience in a pure passing, especially a pro style offense. However, as a really dynamic runner, why that aspect wasn't just leaned on, when you get turnovers, to be able to just let the offense be comfortable, gain some first downs. In essence, if the Buffs kick a handful of field goals when they had opportunities, they don't get stopped on 4th down to give the ball back after turnovers, etc. They win that game. And so coaching really let them down coaching is kind of the hallmark of what they're trying to do up there. They're trying to prepare kids for NFL style coaching, as well as just kind of prep for what's next. And so you got to feel a little bit for those kids in the sense of that wasn't the best NFL has to offer, fumbling away the last minute and 7 seconds, using, I think it was 48 seconds of game clock to get a first down.
Right.
When you are down 7, especially in college football, when the clock stops at first downs, to go to the locker room at the end of the game with 2 timeouts it's just inexcusable. And I'm a huge Deion stan. He's the reason why I like Florida State Seminoles. And I can call it when it's not. They messed it up. Coaches let the kids down, to be quite honest, and then double down afterwards. And I guess, you're protecting your guys or whatever you want to be able to say, but we all have eyes, and we all acknowledge that was a really terrible, as Charles Barkley would say, coaching effort. It just was. Georgia Tech is a good team, though, so it's not like they lost to Northwestern Community College or something. I don't know, whatever. Maybe. No offense to anyone if it's actually a school. Good job. But to be able to say that that was the game they should have won, and I think they know it. And when you give up those games for a team that's probably going to be on the margins a lot this year, you don't get a lot of opportunities to get those kind of games back. So we'll see. Really excited to hear that Julian Lewis is going to play in week 2. Yep, this is the game that you get him in.
Yep.
And I have no doubt if Lewis looks good, that you really transition over. I think Caden Salter, he's not going to be an NFL quarterback.
Right.
And so I think for them, you can have packages where he's able to utilize his athleticism and still have a chance to showcase to professional football teams that he's the guy that can play at that level, but maybe not at that position. And Julian Lewis is the face in the future of the program. And when they struggle offensively to throw the football, why not give the reins to the kid that can throw the football?
Right. Yeah. Attacking downfield was an issue. They just didn't have any real explosive plays. I think that I don't know. I think that there were some players that played well. I think that everyone kind of needs to get a little bit of shot in the arm for the next game. I think that they have an opportunity to bounce back. And I think ultimately, it's one game. So nothing to panic about yet, but we just
remember last year when they played Nebraska, right? It was a significant, oh crap, right? It was the ceiling has fallen in, all that stuff. And then, you go win 4 games in a row, and all of a sudden 4-1 still looks great. Doesn't matter who the one was to.
Yeah.
You're 4-1. And so that to me is is where this will need to go. And yeah, they shot an arm. They got to be able to produce and come to bat for what's next.
Yeah, they play Delaware next week, which isn't a slouch program, but definitely winnable. Houston will be tough the following week. You've got Wyoming. There's some tough games, but definitely winnable opponents right now. So I'm still optimistic. I'm still excited to see what this team can do. Obviously my optimism is a bit, I don't think that it was really through the roof to begin with, but it's definitely a step backwards right now. But I think that, I'm more excited to see how some of these guys develop. A Seaton at left tackle, I think, is a guy that I really like, and I'm excited to kind of see him grow with this team. I am interested to see Lewis if he is able to get out there. Really, they were able to run the ball decently if you count quarterback rushing yards too. So that doesn't need a ton of work, though. Obviously, it still needs some. Just want to see them pass down the field a little more effectively. Let's transition to CSU just real quick. CSU also.
Yeah, okay. 14's at halftime. I thought CSU, oh man, you know what? On the road, Washington. That's a tough place to play, regardless of where they're at in the standings. They always have a good football team. They had a ton of really good transfers, that program. Yeah, I was hopeful, and then you could kind of just see the wheels fall off. Down 7 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Coleman, the running back for Washington, who I really, really like, explodes for 177 yards. And you could just recognize the talent difference, right? Like, it's just
for sure.
Horses or the Budweiser Clydesdales.
Right.
There's, maybe one Clydesdale and a bunch of Mr. Reds. So, but to me, it was a good showing in the sense of, you know what? You could see the strides, for 3 quarters and some change, you're in that football game. And I think that's at least a good way to be able to go into Mountain West Pac-12, whatever they're going to be, play, and get some momentum for kind of what's next.
Yeah, and I think they had some good showings from some guys. Running back Jalen Dupree, 15 carries, 92 yards, average of 6.1 yards per carry, pretty darn good.
For sure.
Jackson Warren had 6 receptions, 79 yards, a touchdown. Linebacker Owen Long had 11 tackles. Robert Edmondson, linebacker, had 8 tackles. So they had some guys stepping up. Really, they really competed. I feel like they competed maybe a little harder than the Buffs even did. Not to say the Buffs were mailing it in, but when you felt, like you said, at halftime, hey, we're still in this. The other game had a little bit more of a lethargic feel than this game. And this game, definitely, if you had to pick one of the games to watch again, I would definitely pick CSU. They brought it a little bit more. I think they're a little more fired up. I do think that some of the Dion health stuff is definitely impacting maybe the feel in that building. I think that you'd like him to be as engaged as possible. Not to say that he's not, but obviously there are challenges that come along with that. So I think as the season goes on, things will even out for both of these teams. Tough to take some losses early on, but if you're going to lose early, win later, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, especially out of conference play, right? It's in the end, if you win your conference, it gives you an opportunity to be able to play, play deeper into the season. Big 12, if you lose and you're losing to the ACC, or in the, you're the CSU, you're losing to a team in the Big 10, which is so weird to say, right? Washington in the Big 10.
Yeah,
still don't like it.
It's weird.
Anyway,
it's weird.
But I think both teams have some really good stuff to take away. In essence, I thought the week 1, 0-1, whatever week these are in the college football season, I thought that's some really good football. And
yeah, it was fun.
There's some prospects too that for Bronco fans, there's a lot of really good talent. And when you don't have to go get a quarterback, it's fun. It's when you have to get a quarterback, it's great if you have a generational draft, and most of the time that doesn't happen. You're hoping that your guy is suitable, and the fact that the Broncos don't have to, that they don't have to go get an edge rusher, which, a lot of those are going to be guys, those prime positions, they have to go get a corner.
Right.
Are guys that you got to get usually in the top 10 and offensive tackle, right? Like you can get guys that are going to be really good prospects later on in the draft with good athletic profiles for those positions, which to be honest is kind of fun because it's like, watch Connor Liu, center for Auburn.
Yeah.
He's a dude, man.
He
True
is.
junior too. And age is on his side. A guy that, with Wattenberg set to become a free agent next year, guy that's going to make some coin. The Broncos have not paid centers in a while. You go draft yourself Connor Liu in the first round. You get the 5th-year option. You could even franchise tag because that's not really breaking the bank. You have Connor Liu till he's almost 30. Pretty cost controlled.
For sure.
So super excited about that. I'm going to give one more just because. Actually, you know what? Is there a player that you really liked that you wanted to highlight before I go on my uncharted spiels?
Yeah, we can. Let's both hit a few because I think we both. Right. I texted you a few on whatever day that was.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, man, it's pretty close. I really liked Justice Haynes, running back out of Michigan. Hurts me to say it because obviously I'm not a Michigan guy. Had a really, really strong showing against New Mexico, but regardless, you just got to play who's in front of you. And he looks explosive. He looks strong. I'm pulling up his box score because I don't exactly remember what the numbers were. 16 carries, 159 yards, 3 touchdowns. So pretty good production. That's an average 15.5 yards per carry, which is insane. Obviously not something that he's going to be able to keep up throughout the season, but he's everything that you like in a running back prospect. He's a junior. He's got good size. He looks strong. He runs between the tackles well. When he gets into space, he has burst. He has some long speed. He's a guy that I wasn't necessarily really on my radar. And then when I was kind of just flipping through some games, he caught my eye and checked him out a little bit more. I'm excited about what he brings to the table. I'll be interested to see kind of how, as the year progresses, what his body of work kind of ends up looking like, but he looks like he's kind of in the perfect position for himself to take a jump. I'd recommend watching him if you haven't had a chance yet.
Love it. And you know what, J.K. Dobbins, if he has a good year, probably won't be a Bronco. If he has a bad year, probably won't be a Bronco. So I think continuing to spearhead that running back room will be a continued task. I love RJ Harvey and what he could bring, and having guys with complement skill sets are phenomenal. I'm going a little homer in the sense of Earl Little Jr. Who Alabama transfer to Florida State, defensive back, 6'1", about 190, was an absolute menace and just was great in the pass game. Was an absolute missile in the run game. Had 2 stops on critical downs in run support, which is just fun if you appreciate defensive backs. So you might ask, like, well, why are we just got Jahdae Barron? Because you never have enough. 1, 2, Brandon Jones is going to want money. He's good at football. And so you have to continue to prepare for succession planning. And ideally, Jahdae Barron as an outside guy, but might be inside. And so you got to continue to look at stockpiling those positions. And Riley Moss will be due a contract heading into, following next season. So succession planning is always good. And then I'm just going to hit one more because I'm talking loud.
Go for it.
I normally do not appreciate Florida Gators at all. And let alone when they're good at football. But Caleb Banks, 6'5", 330 defensive lineman, was just an absolute stud. He's a guy, that I would be scared of if I were playing football and he was on the field.
Oh, for sure.
That said, if he's on your team, he looks good in orange and blue already. So having that guy in the middle of the defensive line, especially if you're able to utilize DJ Jones, maybe moving or just succession planning for for a couple seasons down the road. For a team that has struggled to stop the run at times, having a guy that is just absolutely massive, I've heard, makes it harder to move. So he's a guy that I really liked. I thought he was good last year. He also is able to get pressure, has some really good lateral agility, strong as hopefully you would think that he would be. But sometimes guys that are that big aren't necessarily play strong.
Right.
But he absolutely is that. And so he's a guy that I hope stays in kind of the 20 to 25, 20 to 30 range in terms of prospect rankings, especially when you add inflation of some QBs coming up, that kind of stuff. But he's a guy that I would love for the Broncos to get. He's a senior, so he'll absolutely be in the draft cycle. So Earl Little Jr., Caleb Banks, a couple guys that I think would look good in Denver.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with one that I don't think will actually be there, considering I think the Broncos will have a decent to very good season. Is Spencer Fano or Fano? I'm not sure which. Fano, but I think it's Fano. He is an offensive tackle for Utah, and he is a monster. I think he will probably he has potential to be a top 10 pick at offensive tackle. It's a really fun offensive tackle class, actually. So I'm excited to delve into him. Even Lamu, the other tackle for Utah, both of those guys are going to play on Sundays. But Fano to me was just, I mean, if you go through, even if you're just watching highlights of that, just watch 55 on the right side of the line, and he is not losing any matchup. He is annihilating guys in space. He is moving his feet. He is keeping his quarterback clean on all levels. It's really amazing. He's 6'6", 300 pounds, and I think he's gonna be a guy at the next level. So not necessarily someone that I'm seeing for the Broncos unless they were making some moves or some crazy injury happens, but a guy that I'm gonna enjoy watching nonetheless, and we're definitely gonna enjoy delving into as our summer scouting stuff happens. And I'm excited just to, just offensive line is fun to watch, especially when they're really good. And there's a lot of really good offensive linemen. He's top of it right now for me.
Yeah, especially to be honest, man, there's kind of a section of time where, especially in the run game, guys they weren't run blocking in college football, and I feel like there's been some adjustment in. As the world turns a little bit, right? Kids go to play defense instead of offense because that's where they're getting the most opportunity at, or emphasized more, or whatever that might be. And then you get the ebbs and flows of positions, the running back coming back, blah, 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 all those things. I think for a while, kids were just, especially in high school, were just pass blocking. They're just throwing it around all the time. And appropriately, I think some schools have continued to adjust to balance out a bit, and you're seeing some of the beneficiaries of that in schools like Utah, who know how they have to win, and they got to win because they're not going to compete for 5 stars all over the place. Yeah, if you were a good offensive line factory, Iowa, right, teams like that, and you and I both agree, when you see really good offensive line play, it always plays, right?
Always.
The team has never went wrong. They're drafting well in the trenches, and look at Philadelphia.
Right.
They've been this kind of team because they've said we know how to win, and you have to have a good offensive line and a good defensive line. You look at the Denver Broncos. The one reason why people are so high on this team right now is not just Bo Nix, but the fact that the offensive line is so highly thought of, as well as the emphasis on the coaching. There's a lot of resources there. And then defensive line. You have JFM. You got DJ Jones coming back. You have Savion Jones, who's drafted, people falling over. You have Zach Allen, who's an all-pro. Right. Well, you have Nick Benito and Cooper on the edge. You're stocked in the trenches, and then you can Pat Surtain's going to look great no matter where he plays. But Riley Moss is going to get paid because of the defensive front, and those things work in concert. And, Brandon Jones looked as good as he did because guys don't have forever to throw. And, I think J.K. Dobbins and and RJ Harvey are going to have a good season running the ball because hopefully the offensive line is going to make it that much easier. And so you have Ben Powers, who hasn't really looked like a tremendous fit so far, especially as they move to a zone. It's a little bit more outside zone concepts, square peg round hole. He's like 340. It's not exactly his bag. And then Wattenberg, pending free agent. You got to cut some costs somewhere. You do that by drafting good rookie offensive lineman. You can spread some of those costs around as the world turns. And so I'm all for it. I'm super excited to get into some more players. So we'll do that next time. But first, let's plug some of our peeps.
Let's do it.
We got some tremendous shows here. So JT, why don't you hit the show schedule, and then I will hit some of the promo stuff. Here we go.
Let's do it. So as you can see on the screen, there are a number of shows on the network that you should be checking out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have Orange and Blue Blitz. That's with Isaiah Henderson as the host. Monday at 7 p.m. You've got the Broncos Bros with Dak and George. Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. That is on at Tuesdays at 6. That is with the Mile High Viking, Johnny and Jay Weaver. And then we've got Broncos Talk. That is Wednesday at 6 p.m. And for that, we've got Aiden Diaz and Bronco Libre. Of course, Wednesdays at 2:30, you have us, which you know because you are here. And then as for the Get Bucked Game Day show, we've got Isaiah again and Johnny, Mile High Viking, that hosts that. And then the Buck Your Feelings post-game show is Jay and Johnny. Generally, obviously, those for especially the reaction shows, so the breaking news, the game day, and the post-game, you'll have some consistency with those. But also, other guys from the network will join in when they can. If people are busy or if people got stuff going on or are just excited to get on, they'll get on and talk and cover all of that. But a great lineup for the network, and make sure you're checking them out. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure you're liking everything. Make sure that you are giving everything a shot because it's all worth it, especially if you are a Broncos diehard.
Bam. And then with it, go get you some W. W is energy drink. No sugar, no calories, no crap. And then you can also get it by using this awesome promo code. So OBN10. So, Bo Nix or Orange and Blue Network, or whatever you want to do. But remember that 10, get 10% off at the checkout. Again, as someone that prescribes to caffeine, pretty great, not gonna lie, and necessary. And so additionally with that, again, if you can, and if you haven't, please do. So we have a giveaway. When we get to 529 subscribers on the Orange and Blue Network, we're going to give out a Bo Nix jersey. 529.
The YouTube page.
Why would you? YouTube page, specifically. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you said why 529? Because that was how many passing touchdowns that Peyton Manning had. So super cool thing to do. So go make sure you're subscribed to Orange and Blue Network YouTube page because you should. And that's what cool people do. So with that now, let's make sure we talk Broncos stuff.
Yeah.
Or do you want to do week one matchups across the board? Which way order do you want to do it, my man?
I was going to ask you the same. So let's start. I'm thinking. Let's do a little bit of the Broncos Titans matchup, and then we'll see what we have time for after that. I think we can get into this pretty good. And then we'll talk about we've got some questions for each other, some over under predictions, some this or that we may end up getting to at the end. But let's talk about Broncos v Titans, because I know that is what we are all excited for. Afternoon game on Sunday. Doc, why don't you start us out? Obviously, we'll do predictions at the end.
Yeah.
I want to know what your game plan would be going into this matchup. If you are Sean Payton, if you are, planning this game out and you're scripting this game to the best of your ability, how would you attack Tennessee?
So if we were to go, we'll start offense.
Yeah, start offense.
We're on the offensive side of the ball. And so for me, if I'm on the offensive side of the ball, really my concerns, if I'm Sean Payton, it's really going to be their front seven. So you got, and I would say a fairly, I'd say good to average to good front seven.
Yep.
So old friend Draymond Jones is now one of the edge rushers in Tennessee. On the opposite side is Arden Key, which is super interesting is the fact that guy has figured out kind of a niche in this league when had all the God-given talent and couldn't figure it out. And I think has really settled into being kind of a poor man's Jadeveon Clowney, if I were to say, guy with a tremendous athletic upside, but for some reason just can't transfer it to over the top production. That said, is still a good player. Is a player that I advocated a while for as a rotational player in Denver. Cedric Gray, linebacker, 2-year linebacker out of North Carolina, and our old friend Cody Barton. So a guy that we saw play at a solid level last year. Up front, Jeffrey Simmons is an absolute monster. I think you heard Quinn Miners say, I don't want my first reps going against Jeffrey Simmons because he's going to make me look bad. And that's because he's good at football. He's a little bit of what we like to call touched. Jeffrey Simmons has a little bit wrong with him, which I think all the good players, you have to flip that switch. Sure. And then Tavondre Sweat, who is just a man-child. 340, 350 probably at your nose going against, Wattenberg, who's probably 305, 310. And then Sebastian Joseph Day, who's a really good run defender. So for the first, in my opinion, running the ball is going to be a chore. I think you have to do it for attempts because you got to get this offense going. And so my opinion probably is the first quarter is going to be a little sluggish. I really think that the Broncos need to establish run for themselves because it won't get easier sledding throughout the season and to really kind of get your team in a rhythm. That said, if I'm going to throw the ball, this is a team that I would feel okay about. Old friend Ladarius Sneed, really rough season last year. Mm-hmm. Roger McCreary is a good player, but much more of a nickel defender. And then Jarvis Brownlee is a young ascending-ish player, but a guy that I wouldn't be that afraid of. Amani Hooker is phenomenal at creating turnovers, but is pretty limited-ish athletically, and Xavier Woods is a solid player. So really, to be honest with you, outside of Jeffrey Simmons, there's no one on their defense that screams elite. So the Broncos offense really should be able to dictate the terms. I would see number 98, and I would run a lot to not his side.
Right.
I think there's no point in running against a wall when there's doors open on the other side. Sebastian Joseph Day is a good player. It's not a guy that I would say if Ben Powers shouldn't be able to at least get some push on. Sure. Or tackle guard combos shouldn't be able to stay on and be able to get to the second level with him and Garrett Bowles. And so they really got to get the run going. And I think if you do, even if it's 4 yards a carry, which is pretty pedestrian now in today's football, you're going to have some opportunities for some big shots. And I think that's what Sean Payton will want this season. So offensively, start the run, lean on it a little bit, loosen them up with some play action. And then from there, I think you really can dictate the rest of the game based on situations of what you want to do, because this Broncos offense on paper, really outside of Jeffrey Simmons, and depending on where Jeffrey Simmons lines up, they are better at every spot. I would take a Broncos offensive skill player, maybe Roger McCreary, depending on who the Broncos have in the slot, I think is a guy that can match up. But, even if Jeffrey Simmons is over Quinn Miners, I feel really good about that matchup. And And I think if that's the case, the Broncos really should be able to put up high 20s in this game, which in the NFL, regardless if you're playing, is not an easy task, let alone I think a team that should be more competitive than they were last year. Yeah. What's your thoughts about that? And then let's get into defensive.
Yeah, I don't have much to counter there. I mean, I think I agree with you. I think the running game is going to be important. And like you said, it may take a little bit of time for it to go to be established in a way that's meaningful. Hopefully they're able to find some explosive plays in there. I'm not certain that you'll see that or the fruition of that early on. And maybe even not in this game. It is a tough front to run against. And so, that will be the big guys will have to do some work in the trenches to get some movement. And are they capable of it? For sure. Week one, everyone comes out a little bit slow. It seems like, you're kind of getting a feel for the game. And I think sometimes when you're playing at least from a talent standpoint, a lesser opponent, you can kind of ease into those situations. So we'll see how aggressive they come out. I imagine that they will try and they'll try and push the ball down the field a little bit, at least early on. I think they'll take some shots just to kind of make sure that secondary is not pressing down too much. I think that they and I think you kind of want to flex your muscles and say, like, hey, we're going to go deep. No one seems to think we have a elite wide receiver core. We have some guys that can burn you over the top now, Yep. Mims, if he's healthy and playing, obviously is a guy that can do that. I just think that offensively they need to kind of stick to what they do. Maybe try and use the short pass as an extension of the run if you're not really able to establish that run game, or at least a productive version of that between the tackles running game early on. A little screen to the outside, a little screen to the tight end, wheel routes, things like that, just to kind of get guys moving, some rollouts, but I think that ultimately maybe even design quarterback run at one or two times early on, just to make sure that the defense is not able to pin their ears back. That is how I would go, but I think you covered most of it. I don't really have many notes. Defensively, I want to see them be aggressive. I want to see them give Cam Ward as many looks as possible. I want them to mix it up. I want them to mix up, who's rushing, who is in coverage, who's dropping into coverage, how many guys they have on the line, how many guys are dropping back, that sort of thing. I want to see all of the movement possible. When you're coming in and playing a rookie quarterback, like, you've got to make their life hard. I think I read something like rookie quarterbacks since 2000 in their first game are like 1-14-1. So, the win rate for those quarterbacks is pretty low. And a part of that is just, you've got an established defense. This is should be one of the top defenses in the league. And you need to kind of flex your muscles a little bit against a guy that hasn't seen a pro level defense, at least not on Sundays yet. I just want them to attack. I want them to be aggressive. I want them to come downhill. And I think that they will. I anticipate that they'll get a few turnovers in this game, that they'll force some errors. I anticipate that a lot of that will come from pressure, especially with their outside linebackers. I like their ability to win on the edges. I don't know. Outside of that, like, I'm just interested to see kind of how they mix it up, where they're attacking from specifically. But I think that it's got to be an aggressive game plan. You've got to put the league on notice, and you've got to really work to fluster Cam Ward, who is looks like he's going to be a pretty good player, but has to show it first.
Yeah. Rookie quarterbacks struggle. It is a hard position to play. I don't know if any of you have ever read that before or tried to do it. Playing quarterback in Madden is hard, and now looking at about people that want to physically harm you. I don't care how tough you are. There's a human desire to survive and to keep ourselves safe. So you got to play into that. Cam Ward, who, not necessarily loved as an NFL prospect, but what I do appreciate about Cam is the kid believes he's good. And to play at that level, you got to believe that you're good. And I think that he's going to come in without a fear of number 2. He's not going to worry about number 9. He's not going to worry about, I don't care what numbers those guys are. I believe in my guys. I'm going to hang in. I'm going to throw the rock. The way that you change that is you hit him in the face. I mean that metaphorically.
Kind of.
I winked. I didn't do an emoji. I legit did. Yep. You make him see a ghost or two. And then, but the good part is that's how this team plays. So I want Vance Joseph to call the game. Just call the game like you would call a game, because they played with their hair on fire last year. That's why they led the league in sacks. I think you remind the league that not only are we still good, but we got some new toys to play with. You got Alex Singleton, who is back. We're in the green dot. Also a captain. Nice job to our man Bronco Libre for sharing this. So captain, Talano Hufunga, captain, and DJ Jones, captain. Pat Sertan, captain. I don't know if you know this. They're all good at football. And I don't mean kind of good.
Pretty
good. Pretty good. And so not only are we still the best pressure team in the NFL from last year, but we have a skilled all-pro safety that comes in. PJ Locke's still here, so 3 safety look. You have first-round pick in John A. Barron, who was the best defensive back in college football last year so, by the award. No Travis Hunter hate, because I love me some TB12. Or TS12, sorry, not TB12. And so call the game like it is. And I think you hit it offensively, just play your game. And defensively, just play your game. You're on paper better than all of them at everything. Calvin Ridley is a good player. He's going to get force-fed. I have no doubt that maybe he'll have 10 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. Is that all going to be on Pat? Nope, because I don't think you even need to shadow him all over. I think Calvin Ridley is a good player, but I like my matchups with him all over the place. Maybe not Jaquan necessarily, but in the slot I do. I think Jaquan's a good player. John Bear will get his opportunities on the field, but I don't think Cam's going to have a ton of time to throw the ball. However, I do think that this is a team that is geared to be able to run the football. So you have a lot of talent up front. Dan Moore got brought over, got paid a lot of money. Why? Because when you suck, you have to pay guys more money. But he's a solid tackle. So you have that. You have Skronsky, who is a first-round pick, who rightfully got moved into guard, which I really like that. You brought over Kevin Zeitler, who is older in the tooth, but was the third-rated guard at PFF last year with Detroit. As your right guard, old friend Lloyd Cushenberry at center. And then AC, not CJ, Latham, is a massive 6'6", there in the 30-plus pound, former first-round pick, top 10 pick at right tackle. And then you have Okonkwo, or is it Okonkwo? Okonkwo. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who I wouldn't say is a fierce blocker, but is a get stuff done blocker. And then Tony Pollard is a really damn good running back. And so you got and actually a much better runner than receiving back. And you think kind of his size, pretty limited-ish. Nope. He's a guy, if you hand the ball, good stuff's going to happen. Yeah. I worry a little bit, especially with Cam's wheels. If they run a lot of RPO action, that creates some dynamics that will put your players in conflict that minimizes, I think, some of your talent gap. And so that's where I worry a little bit. I think come hell or high water, you really just got to play your keys, play like you normally would every year. You beat better offenses this last season. And it's game one. They probably aren't as gelled offensively as you think that they'd be. Ayo Maynor is, I think, projected to start. Tyler Lockett is new there. And then Cam Ward, obviously, being new in a pro system. They shouldn't be hitting on all cylinders. So take advantage of the mistakes when they happen. But just play your game. I think that they'll be better than last year. But part of it is I think that they 100%. Sucked last year. They were a bad football team.
Well, their quarterback was terrible.
Terrible. I mean, Will Levis, one, he was an older prospect. he fell to the second round for a reason. I think he's worth a flyer, but I think they did what some teams do is what the Colts decided not to do is we're not going to continue to chase the hope or the promise of what you might be. Like, we can't afford to do that. Let's write this off and let's go. It's what the Broncos and Sean Payton did with Russell Wilson is, you know what? Nope. And maybe Anthony Richardson might make it somewhere. Will Levis, who's going to be out this year, maybe reincarnates as a solid backup, Jared Stidham style, but he wasn't good at football. He
wasn't.
And I think Tyler Lockett coming in gives you a professional, especially slot receiver. Ao Maynor, I think, is 6'2", 210, really linear explosion, but comes from a smart program at Stanford, and I think should be able to adapt well to what they do. So I think on paper, it's a pretty good team.
Yeah.
It's a solid team. Record-wise, they're probably going to be 6-11, 7-10-ish, maybe. But part of that is you play the AFC South. Hopefully, they should be able to get a couple of those wins.
Right.
But they'll be a much better football team, I think. However, the Broncos, the Broncos, who rightfully so, are a heavy favorite, and they should be. And I think this is one of those games that you show your mettle not by walking through this game, but imposing your will. And part of that is you shouldn't have to do anything fancy in this game, right? You should win 34-17 and by just winning, just snap by snap. If they have a good play, who cares? You come back, you make a stop, right? Just sound football. And that, to me, how they come out in this game will show whether or not they have the professional aptitude to be a Super Bowl contending team. And I mean that by, do they just handle their business? Do they come in, they're prepared, they do what they're supposed to do, they follow their keys, they play smart football, they're in and out of the huddle. Well, no gaffes on special teams, just, are you locked in against the Tennessee Titans, who are terrible? Number one pick, all the stuff that you should be in. Are you feeling your oats? Bo, do you think you should be throwing for 330 and 4 touchdowns? Or, hey, you know what? We're just here to win the game. Let's go in, win the game, do what we're supposed to do, get better, and then get ready again for next week. Depending on how they showed this game, it doesn't mean that I won't be excited for a potential Super Bowl run. That said, if they come in and they handle their business like that, I'm going to feel really, really good. Because if you can lock in against a bad team, against the Eagles in week, whatever that is, I have no doubt you'll be locked in, right? When that there's something to play for, because you lock in every week. That's the whole, next week, week by week. That stuff matters when you're trying to win an ultimate goal. And I think that this team will show that. So that's what I hope. So with that, then I'm going to throw you some. We're going to have some a little this or that.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you first. Okay, what do you think is more likely? And feel free, friends, throw it in the chat what you think. So what's more likely? Okay, Bo Nix throwing for 250 and 2 touchdowns, or the Broncos defense allowing less than 17 points. So again, what's more likely? Broncos defense less than 17 points, or Bo Nix throwing 250 and 2 touchdowns?
That's tough. Both are hard to do.
I did it.
But I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go with the defense, just because I think the defense early on, I think you see defenses winning early on more often than you see offensives clicking early on. However, it was really tough because I think that Bo Nix, I think the way that you attack this defense for Tennessee is definitely with pushing the ball down the field. And like you said, I think that the strength of their defense is definitely in their front seven and not necessarily their secondary. I think that you can kind of, pick and choose your spots a little bit more with the running game, as opposed to, hey, let's get guys going across the middle of the field. Let's get guys, running a go routes. Let's just see what we can do to kind of get this secondary on their heels. But I think that I see a more likely scenario where the defense is is already kind of clicking on all cylinders than I do with the offense. And that part of that is just you have a young quarterback going into the second year. You know, they're still making changes to the offensive play calling. They're going to, you know, obviously that changes throughout the season, but you know, the execution level from week 1 to week 18 is definitely different. And so I think when you play defense, it's a more of a reactionary position as opposed to not necessarily an execution position. And so I'll go defense. What do you think?
I agree. I think
it's close.
I actually think the 17 points is probably like on the nose.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you got gimme points maybe and prevent defense. I actually think the first quarter Tennessee's offense will look better. I think kind of like the 49ers game, right? And Wade Phillips was this kind of coach. You take it on the chin a little bit early.
Yeah.
You just kind of figure out what they're doing. You give up a first quarter score like Wade's defense did that, and then that was it. You know, then it was like, all right, we saw what you're doing. That was cute. And then locking down. I think for this team to be successful or to be where they want to go, I think Bo Nix sitting around 225 a game means that they're probably running the ball. And I hope that it's less than 250 because that means the Broncos aren't losing at any point really, where you feel like you got to go get chunk plays. And you know, they're probably efficient on third downs. And so if they're efficient on third downs, that probably means we don't have to go over the top as much. We're not trailing from behind, all that good stuff. So that's my hope. Obviously, if we could have it all of our way, he throws for 300, the Broncos run for 200, and the defense gives up less than 10. But we don't live in that kind of world, people. We're realists here. All right, so I'm going to give you another this or that.
Okay.
All right, Broncos country. We blink. It's Monday. We're all reacting. Who's the leading rusher at the end of the day? Not who has the most carries.
For the Broncos?
The most touches. Yep. Who is the leading rusher for the Denver Broncos at the end of the game? Yeah, especially because we don't know how the carries are going to get broken up. J.K. Dobbins did not play a snap of preseason football. Bo Nix, who was, I think, in the first quarter of the season, was the Broncos' leading rusher by a large margin.
Yeah.
And he feels good, backs all together. The guy that is a plus athlete. So, you know, Tyler Bidet is capable of taking on 70 yards because he's the only one on the team that did anything like that last year. And so, you know, one rush for 70 yards. Marvin Mims has been a guy I've been known to take a end around a game or two. So I like throwing more options at you just to make everyone think a little bit more. But we blink on Monday. Who's the Broncos' leading rusher?
I'm gonna go JK. I'm gonna go Dobbins. I think that the fact that he didn't play in the preseason makes me wonder if they'll kind of force feed him a little bit more just to get some reps under his belt. I think that we've seen he has the potential to be able to at least get some chunk plays. If not, you know, he may not have that long speed that you want in kind of a lead back, but he definitely has the ability to pick up some yardage. And so I think, you know, one or two kind of 20, 30 plus yard rushes from JK would go a long way. I think that I think he'll get a little more opportunity early on, at least over Harvey. I can see them maybe utilizing Harvey a little bit more in the passing game initially. I think eventually, you know, those will probably even out, or the split will be a little more even. But I'm going to leave JK right now. What do you think?
Yeah, and I hope so. Actually, I think use up those carries on the vet. You know, save RJ, in my opinion, for kind of more as the season goes. I think you kind of know what J.K. Dobbins is going to be. I think he's going to be a good back. I don't think we know what RJ Harvey is going to be yet. And so saving some of that tread, because to be honest, there was a lot in college. I think giving his legs kind of a chance to be fresh as he picks up the game mentally. So I want it to be JK. I also think JK is capable of a big run or two. So it's not even that RJ is the big play threat and JK Dobbins is a slow, plodding runner. And so I actually think that they're both similar in nature, and I feel pretty excited about that. And so one more this or that before we move on to the next part of it.
Wait, can I give you one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, then yeah, you should.
Yeah. Well, I might be stealing yours, so I don't want to do that.
I like it. Well, please do. Great minds think alike, especially if it's like me.
Okay. This is my this or that for you. Who is going to get more receiving targets? Ingram or any other receiver besides Cortland Sutton in the receiver room?
To be honest, I would say with Cortland Sutton, even I think Evan Ingram will have more targets.
You think more
going
targets
on a limb because I think Cortland Sutton is his boo. And I think if there were a game, though, if I'm Sean Payton, I say, yep, I know, if the game's on the line, we go win football games, right? And I got you this new toy, Bo. We're paying him a lot of money. We know that Cortland's good at football. You have not thrown a pass to Evan Ingram yet. Let's do that. Also, because I think Evan Ingram will get flexed out, will get moved to be able to be in more traditional receiver roles to kind of match up where Bo feels more comfortable in that. But I think you got to get your new toys in. So I think J.K. Dobbins has to be a good part of this offense, especially early. And I think Evan Ingram, for this to be a dynamic offense, has to get going early also. Yeah. I think you can't forget about a receiving tight end until the second half, especially if you don't need to throw the ball anymore. Because you don't know how, playing on the road in week 2 against Indy, who they always have like a tough team, regardless of who's their quarterback and stuff.
Sure.
Always well coached, especially now that they got old man Lou from Cincinnati as their defensive coordinator. I think they'll be pretty aggressive in their style of play. So I would rather not try and figure stuff out on the road. I'd rather do it here. So I actually think Evan Ingram will be the leader in targets week 1. I'm not going to say like yards and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
I will say probably catches, but I think Evan Ingram, because I think he's going to be a volume guy. And I think he's going to be the short intermediate on third downs. I think that's a guy that you're going to want to be able to look at. And so I think that they will. So I think that's my, I appreciate that. That was a good one for sure, actually.
Yeah, I think that Sutton will probably get a few more if I had to guess, just because there's a natural chemistry between him and Bo. Not because I have any issues with what Evan Ingram brings to the table. I just think that, when you're moving into your second season and it's the first game, you're probably going to rely pretty heavily on your guy. So that would be my guess.
Yep. I love it. Well, I don't think any of those are wrong in the end.
Yeah, for sure.
If all of those guys are. So let's do a quick over-under, and then let's talk about a little bit about our pick for Broncos, Titans, and then just some what we're looking forward to in week 1 of the NFL season.
Yeah, we'll make our predictions.
I'm just so happy.
I know, I'm so happy. So happy.
Okay. All right, over-under. We just did this or that. We'll do over-under. Quick hit for you and for our audience. Bo Nix passing yards, 217.
I'll go over.
Yeah, that's dumb. I think over too. J.K. Dobbins, rushing yards, 45.5.
Over.
Okay. And then, so the Broncos are, 10-point favorites, 9.5. Let's see.
I thought, maybe it's been updated. I saw 7.5 most recently, but that
did it drop down? I think you were on. Nope, I just lost it. Let me get it back. Come on, BetMGM. Don't you know that we're live doing some things right now? And so, with that, they are.
I do see 8.5. 8 point favorite. Okay, 7.5.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, over under. See the Broncos to cover.
I think they'll cover. I'll go over.
Okay. And then, do you think, or let's do a little fun prop. Who catches the first touchdown of the season?
Okay. I'll say I'm trying not to overthink it, but I might be overthinking. I'm going to say Mims.
Yeah.
I think it'll be. I
like it.
I think it'll be something like maybe out of the backfield. Something. Pass behind the line of scrimmage.
Screen. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the pop screens. I think that those are it. So the Broncos 7.5 point favorite. Over under total points 42.5.
I have to do math now. Hold on.
Yep.
I'll say under.
Okay. I like it. All right. So with that, let's go with your prediction. Broncos Sunday score and all is what?
Wait, can I give you one over under real quick?
Oh yeah. Give me one.
Broncos defensive or Broncos turnovers above or over under 2.5.
Ooh. I think over.
You think over?
Yeah. I think that there'll be 2 picks and a fumble.
Okay.
Especially because they're going to play from behind. I think that they're going to have to they run a lot. I think Bo Nix is going to be over 217. I think JK will be over 45. I think Broncos will cover the spread. I do not think that the over will hit because I don't think Tennessee's going to score that much.
You don't think that? Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that. Yeah. So I think that the first touchdown, I actually think will be a rushing touchdown.
Okay, sweet.
I think it'll be JK. I think that they're early in the first quarter. I think they're going to choose to ram the ball down the throat. And I think that they're going to show that, hey, you know what? We're a different team than last year.
I would love that.
That's my guess. Just so everyone knows, Bet365, if you can guess the right who scores first touchdown, I think the lowest it has even just aggregated here anywhere is plus 750. So pretty good. $10. Not bad odds. So, all right. So with that now, Broncos Titans score is?
I'm going to say 27-17. I would like to think it would be more, but again, week 1, pretty unpredictable. I think the Titans are a little bit better than people are giving them credit for. Not necessarily defensively, but offensively. I think they will find a little bit of success in the offense. Callahan's a pretty good offensive coach, and so I think that he will have them ready to go, at least on that side of the ball. I think Cam Ward will make things tough with his legs, especially if the Broncos aren't really keyed into that. So I could see a scenario where Titans score a couple touchdowns. Ultimately, I don't think it'll be enough. I think that the Broncos will come out on top. And I honestly think that the Broncos will probably get a decent lead and just kind of hold on the rest of the game. They're not going to press if they don't need to. They're going to hold on. They're going to get a win. It's going to be a solid win, 10-point win, and they're going to go home happy.
Yeah, I got the Broncos 31-17, and I think that last touchdown will be garbage time. So I think
I can see
going
that.
into the last 8 minutes or so, I think the Broncos will be up pretty handily. So with that, they would get the over in points for the game. So that's our thoughts. Week 1, other matchups that you're looking forward to. What's a game that you'll be clued into the most, and or anything else you want the peeps to look out for?
I think that week 1 is always so interesting. I kind of interested to see the Patriots and Raiders. I think that'll be kind of a fun game.
Yeah.
I think that it will be 2 offenses that I think are going to be a lot better than last year. I think they both have some weapons that were added. I think you'll see I'm excited to see Geno and kind of what he can do in this Raiders offense. I'm excited to see Drake May, see how he's progressed. They've added Travion Henderson in that backfield, so I'm excited for that one. I always like division games, so I'll probably check out a few of those. But I think Buccaneers Falcons is a fun one too. There should be a lot of offense in that one. You get to see Michael Penix, and he likes to sling the ball, so I think you'll see a lot of big plays potentially in that game. And Baker always likes to sling the ball too, so it could be kind of an offensive shootout, especially with the receivers that Tampa added that look like they're going to be pretty good. I think, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of games to like. I think in the afternoon, obviously the evening game is going to be really good, Ravens Bills, but I'm looking forward to Rams Texans as well. Even though it doesn't sound like Stafford is going to be healthy, I still think the Rams are a good team. And I'm excited to see what Houston kind of trots out there, how their line holds up, that sort of thing.
Yeah, especially the offensive line, right? I think the success of that team will be how those 5 guys play.
For sure.
And so to me, to be honest with you, the only matchup really that I'm not like stoked to watch is the Panthers Jaguars.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the Colts and Dolphins, because I'm over the Dolphins. I'm tired of like the whole thing.
Me too,
like McDaniel is tired of that act. The Colts have always just been a team that since Peyton left, like I could give 2 about. But from Thursday on, Cowboys Eagles, I think we're all going to be tuned in to see if Jerry knows what he's talking about, or we all know that he doesn't. And then you got a Friday game, which is phenomenal. Chiefs Chargers. I'll be watching that because I hate them both.
Yeah.
And then, even the Monday night game, Bears Vikings, you got 2.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Early draft picks from last year's draft class. Seeing if Caleb Williams can make that jump. See if JJ McCarthy can play football. At the NFL level, we don't know. And then a ton of division matchups. You got Seahawks, 49ers. You got Lions, Packers. Like you said, Falcons, Bucks. You got Commanders, Giants. Will Russ trick us all again for half a season? It's good drama, man. It's good drama. Not really excited about Cardinals Saints.
Yeah, that one's
I don't really think the Saints are going to be much, but I have Alvin Kamara on a bunch of my fantasy teams, so Alvin, get the rock. But it is going to be good to see, like, is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to take that leap? Kyler Murray going to be able to take that step? They're a team that should be on the rise, but I feel like we say that about them every year, and then they disappoint.
Yeah.
So super stoked for all of those, but obviously the crown jewel being the Broncos opening up at Phenomenal Empower Field at Mile High with a big dub. Have no idea what unis they're going to wear yet, and that's pretty dope. And so with that, any last thoughts of the week before we say bye to our peeps?
Yeah, I want to know, just real quick, I have a quick question for you. Yeah. Any teams, obviously not the Broncos, because we're all pretty high on the Broncos. Any team that you're high on that you think is getting slept on a little bit?
Any team?
Yeah, any team that you think is going to overachieve?
Yeah. I think overachieve? Man, I think that the Buccaneers will be a team that I think will take another step.
They're on my short list.
And I think another team that will I think take another progressive step. I really think will be the Raiders, and I think I think you'll just be able to tell the difference having an adult.
I think so.
Coach. Probably only win like 7 games, but they're going to be a team I think that really is is well coached and gives everyone a run for their money. That said, I don't know if I'm on the Patriots bandwagon yet. The Bengals, I don't know if they're going to play any defense. 49ers, I have no idea if they can stay healthy. The Packers, I think, obviously might be a pick. But to be honest, I think that really a lot of the teams that were good last year should continue to move towards that trend this year. I didn't really see like a lot of, outside of the Broncos, really, teams that really just upgraded all over the place. Because the Packers lost some of their secondary. So even you bring in Micah Parsons, you hope that really benefits the back end, but we'll see. And then Jordan Love, is he going to be that dude? You lose Rashawn Slater kind of off the Chargers bandwagon, and the Texans offensive line, we have no idea if they can block. So it's a little bit of like, even in the AFC, the teams that had holes last year had the same holes this year. I think, I don't know if I feel really good about a bunch of the teams kind of solving those problems. I think the Commanders are going to regress just because I think that they won in a lot of Chiefs fashions last year.
Yeah.
And so, but bounce back teams, because there's always a team that makes the playoffs or that didn't the year before. I'd say, to be honest, the Panthers-Jaguars game might be one where you see 2 teams that sneak up on people this year.
Yeah.
A lot of it being the bar was so freaking low.
And
when you have 2 former number 1 overall picks, you shouldn't suck that bad.
Agreed. I think mine, and I don't know why, but I kind of sneaky like Seattle. There's something about
I thought about that. Sammy. I don't know.
I mean, it's going to come down to offensive line play. You know, they added Gray Zabel, I think, is going to plug and play and be okay on that offensive line. If their tackles can stay healthy, I think they'll be fine. Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. I just like some of the young talent they have. They've got Torrey Horton, who looked good in the preseason, who we like. Obviously, we're familiar with from Colorado State. Cooper Kupp can kind of revive his career with a guy like Sam Darnold. I think that they might be well made for each other. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is a player and is going to be a player for a long time. Jake Bobo, I like Jake Bobo. So that offensive grouping is pretty fun. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet are solid back there as long as they're healthy. There are things that I like about this team for sure.
I would agree.
Arroyo, as a rookie coming out, has potential to be a downfield threat.
I do think that they're a team that if Sam Darnold plays better, I think they're a team. Yeah, they were 10-7 last year, right? It's like they didn't make the playoffs off of coin flips and head-to-heads, so they should be a team. I like that.
McDonald's a good coach. I'm with Kubiak's a good coach.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and their offensive coordinator last year was terrible. That's why he went back to college.
So, all right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you. We went a little bit over, but we appreciate your time today. Tune in with us next week. We will be going over the Broncos win. Yeah, you heard it. Win. Right. And we'll be looking forward to the week 2 matchup. And then we'll also be just talking about more college sports, more probably a little more Euro ball since that's going on right now. We didn't get a chance to talk about it today. We got to talk about Jokic, of course. But there's a lot to look forward to. We are excited. We hope you all are excited. But until then, be kind to one another. Be safe out there. And if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
I'll hook you up.